get your work through. And that's happened on 1 or 2 occasions.
Well, we've been talking about taboos, and another one you touch on in the book came when you returned to South Africa in 1997 in the wake of democracy, and 30 years after you'd been banned from the country by the apartheid regime. The truth you dared to say that black South Africans were as poor under Nelson Mandela as they were before caused what you describe in the book as spirited debate. I think actually it caused ructions, didn't it? The South African Broadcasting Corporation initially refused to screen it. Then they said they would do so only if they ran a disclaimer before it started. And then there was the veteran South African journalist Alistair Sparks, who wrote he was offended by criticism of the ANC. But within a couple of years, there was serious debate about what had gone wrong.
And now it's I have to say, as the theme of the Quiet Mutiny, the theme of apartheid did not die, as is sort of is accepted. It's received wisdom in South Africa. There are big troubles in South Africa. You don't hear about them very much because that extraordinary period leading up to the release of Nelson Mandela and the first democratic elections was understandably celebrated. Of course, there was a lot to celebrate, and black South Africans themselves celebrated it. But then it was dropped. Now it seems extraordinary, but there are many black South Africans who actually look back on the last decade of apartheid with some nostalgia. That they then had a water supply, they then had electrical supply, they had just some control over their lives. The ANC government has decided to go a particular route, which is the opposite route of their famous Freedom Charter, and really obey the strictures of the IMF and the World Bank, and no surprise, that's affected the majority adversely. And I must say, when I interviewed Mandela, and asked him about this, it was quite interesting because we started, and I said, well, how do you cope with being a saint? And he said, well, it's terrible, I can't, I try to, put that aside. I don't like the deference and, the obsequiousness which he used to get, of course, because he's a remarkable man. And in person he's equally remarkable.